you should listen to your driver.
You got recognised at a nightclub.
Yeah, I think they would have crashed, to be honest. Ole, 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 ole.
I think we both agree that his future is probably not with Ferrari.
Well, I know there is interest.
Yeah?
From some teams, yeah. What a day we had.
I think...
we still have, actually.
Well, I think Formula One, FIA, the organiser of the Canadian Grand Prix, all would have been fascinated and thrilled with what was turned on for us today at that track, because I was out at turn 1, 2 and 3, and I have not seen cars that close repeatedly, lap after lap. And every lap they come and go, oh, they're still close. And sometimes they were less than a car length apart going into that first turn.
You didn't hear what Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton had to say in the cool-down room.
Haven't had time yet. Tell me.
But that was awesome, because we were all there to join in. And Max Verstappen at some point said it was actually quite all right to follow, and I've never heard him say that ever before.
Yeah, and anyone who's watching this now and who watched the race, I think will think, wow, we thought these regs were terrible, but turns out they're not too bad.
No,
at this track.
It's getting better. It's getting better, I think, and especially the first 30 laps, the fight between George and Kimi, that was...
Now, what would have happened had George not have broken down? Would we have had a whole race of that? Because, my gosh, that would have been richly rewarding for those people watching at home.
I don't think it would have lasted until the last lap. I think they would have crashed, to be honest.
Well, I kept thinking with Lando sitting behind, he must be just going, oh, this is great. I've just got to bide my time. It's going to happen. In the first few laps, I was seeing Lando and looking at my photos. I'm thinking, Lando's in the box position. But I didn't realise that the tyre strategy was different.
That was a strange thing. They started on the intermediates. I was, we are supposed to be on the grid before the race, right?
Yeah.
And I was walking in the pit lane, and the tire guy of Max Verstappen, Greg Reason, he was having a...
I've got a beautiful picture. Look at this picture of him. He's a good-looking boy.
Yeah. He's a good-looking bloke. He has nice white teeth. They look like blue. They are blue or something.
He's a funny guy.
Yeah, he's a funny guy. But I saw Greg Reason and Max Verstappen's race engineer, Giampiero Lambiase. They were discussing, like, what tires are we choosing in the race? What tires are we going for? And I saw that Greg was taking care of, two-wheel cars. Everything was ready because it wasn't certain which direction we were going with the tires, right?
Once again, you know more than I do, because I have spent 12 hours photographing. I've done a video in my room, and now we're doing this. So I'm learning as much as perhaps these people are here.
Yeah, it was drizzling. It was drizzling before the race, and it's cold in Montreal.
It never put enough water on the track for it to be a drama, did it?
I know. So that's why it was super strange that they went for intermediates, McLaren.
Yeah.
And it's not the first time that they are in the wrong when it comes to the strategy or the choices they're making. And what's also funny? Oscar Piastri was saying on the radio, I think it's slicks, guys. I think we have to go.
I heard that?
Yeah. I think we have to go with slicks. And as a team, I think you should know when Oscar Piastri says something like this, like, I think we should go for slicks. It's not like Max Verstappen says, we should go for slick tires. If he says, I think it should be slicks, you should listen to your driver.
He's very diplomatic, isn't he?
Yeah, too diplomatic, I would say. You have a...
Well, yeah, I'll jump a bit to the end of the race. I was at the FIA garage and I watched all of the drivers come out, and all their PR people are standing behind and their trainers. And Oscar came out and he said to his girl, hello. Like, who says hello?
Like he just went for grocery shopping and he's back in the house.
Such a great guy. Yeah. So low-key, so casual, but brilliant. But he's got off to a poor start this year, hasn't he?
Yeah. I think he lost a little bit of his mojo or something. I think he has the feeling that he was screwed over last year. Like.
Yeah, and was that his one and only chance?
You never know.
I know.
He's still young. He's gonna have opportunities, I think, in the future. But he had a proper one last year. So yeah, maybe he lost a little bit of confidence in the team. We don't know that. But he's not at his best at the moment.
Well,
what time you were at the track this morning?
I was there at 9, so I did 11 hours and then 2 hours back here, and we still haven't finished. We'll be another hour here. What about you? What time did you get there?
A little later.
Yeah. But it was bitterly cold. I don't think I can't remember another. Yes, I can. The coldest day we've ever had was in Kota on a Thursday, and I didn't have enough of the right clothing, and I really suffered that day.
Well, to be honest, I can't remember that I was Vegas a few years ago.
Oh yeah, okay.
Vegas,
Yep.
that was cold.
Yep.
Yeah, but it wasn't warm today. But the fight between Kimi and George, that warmed us all up, didn't it?
It was really exciting, and I've just gone and had a look at the highlights, so I've now probably seen what most of you have seen, and it was gripping, and it's so good. And I had a chat with a couple of our friends from the FAA tonight, and they were buoyed, they were bumped up, they were happy.
Everybody was,
Yeah.
to be honest. Everybody was. And as I said, you said, would this last until the last lap? No, I don't think so, because they were getting too close sometimes. Like they were actually, at some point, they were touching each other.
I saw that.
Yeah. So it's got to be interesting, you know. I think in a way. So I was thinking during the race, how is Toto Wolff watching this? Because it's two of your drivers. They're getting way too close
Yep.
for comfort.
Yep.
In a way, maybe you're also too sad with the fact that that he was not that he was not getting to the finish line.
What, you think there's favouritism for Kimi because he's...
No, I don't think so. That he would. No, I don't think that. I think it doesn't matter who you're going to be world champion with, but at some point you don't want to have him fighting like this, you know.
Did you know what happened when George walked through the paddock? Toto came out of the garage to give him a hug.
Yeah, you were there.
Yeah, but I stupidly was running ahead because I see George walking with a whole pack of TV and think, I'm going to go and wait. I'd already taken a handful of pictures, and I'll go and wait up at the hospitality suite. And I get up there and I turn around, and there's Toto come out, and I've missed it.
Oh,
So, but look, you can't get everything. You aim for stuff, and sometimes you get it right, and sometimes you don't. But it was a nice touch for Toto to come out. You'd expect that from him.
yeah. And obviously he's feeling terrible for George. But I, to be honest, I felt for George as well today.
He was shaking his head behind
he can
fence.
he can be very dramatic. He was throwing his
Yep.
what's it called, his headrest.
Yep.
I
But
think he's gonna
the
get a fine for that.
The thing I liked about George was when he walked back through the paddock, he stopped for this kid to fist bump him or give him a high five, whatever it was. I thought he's pretty down. He's got a lot of probably anger. He's got TV crews in this and photographers in his face, and he had the wherewithal to do that. And I give him big kudos for that.
Yeah. And he's not the only driver, because there's a lot of people that weren't. There's a lot of drivers in the paddock that aren't happy at the moment.
Yep.
Charles Leclerc, for instance.
The man wearing the beanie
Yeah,
today
I saw him
looked good.
after the race. He was walking in the paddock, and he's not happy, you can tell. And then still, doing all the signatures, taking all the selfies.
Yep.
I don't think it's necessarily the best selfie that you could have with Charles today, but he's still doing it.
Look, he's a gentleman, always has been, and he's a class act, but I think we both agree that his future is probably not with Ferrari.
Yeah, I think at some point he will also. He's definitely considering a move to somewhere else, doesn't he?
Quickly, I hope, so they don't crush him.
I have the feeling he will never become a title contender in Ferrari.
What about his teammate, though?
He
Today.
found his mojo again. After Miami, I think
day.
it was only 2 weeks ago that I said, Lewis is done,
Yeah.
and he lost his mojo, and there he is again.
His mum was there at the track.
Yeah. I think he's always performing well when his mom is there.
I heard him say that he wanted her to come to more races, but it's hard to get her along. So I think she picked a good weekend.
And he said something funny as well. Normally they're always in the simulator, right? Before they come to a race weekend.
Yep.
He wasn't this time. So
Didn't need it.
Well, it worked out beautiful for him. And Montreal is always a track that he's going well.
Montreal, the actual race is just growing in stature.
Yeah.
I think it's outgrown that circuit.
It is one of the most unique places we go to, I would say,
Yeah.
with all the water around us.
Yeah.
But it's not easy to get in and to get out as a fan. For us, it's different.
Yeah, and we'll go to our privilege, because it is a privilege.
It is a privilege, yeah.
But I saw some vision of people waiting to get out through that train station, and it was horrendous. I don't know how long the delay was, but it's just physically impossible to get rid of, 100,000 people like that.
Yeah.
Whereas with us, there's a couple of thousand of us, and probably only a quarter of that with cars, and we got to use that lovely train bridge.
Yeah, yeah. Makes a funny noise, but it gets us in the city within 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, and then there's the traffic in the city, though, is a different matter, and you got caught last night, didn't you?
This weekend was chaos because of the hockey matches, the playoffs.
Yeah, and the playoffs weren't even here, and the
Can you
traffic was
imagine?
crazy.
But can you imagine if the playoffs were here in town? That would have been undoable.
I was told that they purposefully didn't have those games here because there was best of 5 or 7, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And they said, look, we can't have it here. Formula One's on. We've got no rooms for a start.
Yeah.
Somebody told me there was everything was booked out from 90 minutes away. So if you're prepared to drive 90 minutes to come to the race, that's beggars belief.
This is one of the most expensive races to go to as a I think as a fan, as a journalist, because of the crazy high hotel rates. Now for us, the promoter is taking care of us very well.
Yep.
They get us a hotel room for let's say a decent rate.
Do they subsidise the rate?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
And what do you think? And I know the answer to this, but I'll pose you the question: why do they do that?
Because they want to have all the attention.
Yeah.
Worldwide, they want to have the journalists here.
That's right.
I remember 22. It was one of the races that I think there were the least amount of journalists. 22. I was here. There was no one, and now the media center was packed, ramped up with journalists from all over the world.
Eating poutine and beaver tails.
Food isn't too good here, is it?
Well, if you like that.
Well, talking about food, we had some proper dinner a few days ago.
Well, we got invited at the Fairmont here to their fine dining restaurant downstairs, and we had a 2-star Michelin chef cook for us, and it was pretty flash, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty flash indeed.
Yep.
Yeah,
and
it was good. There was some stuff I've never had before.
Tuna.
Listen, I'm not an easy eater, but this was proper good. Yeah.
Tuna, Wagyu.
Yeah, that was good.
It was a really lovely meal, and not cheap.
Not cheap.
No, but not as expensive as what you'd probably pay in Vegas or somewhere in the US. I think in general, this place is reasonably good for food pricing.
And what about our waiter? Ron? What was his name? Ron? He was good. He was really good.
And in the end, because we were gifted the meal, in the end I said, how do I tip you? He said, I'll put 1 cent on the machine, and then that allows you to put a tip. And I've never done this before, so we put in a big tip. And it comes up with, warning, it's more than 100%. So in other words, if you tipped less than a cent, it didn't come up with that warning.
But yeah, you said you got invited by the Fairmont Hotel, no?
Yeah. Yeah, well, this was the media hotel last year. I believe they had some renovations done, and they opened up quite late. I could be wrong about this, but this is what I understand. And they had rooms free, so FIA did a deal, but they didn't do a deal again this year. But I chose to stay here because I quite like it. And I've got this view out there where I can see up and down this main thoroughfare.
Yeah,
here.
I saw your Instagram story.
Yeah, it's a good spot to stay. And you're right opposite the big circle out there.
I want to talk about Checo, Sergio Perez. Mm-hmm. It's not one of the drivers that we talk most about, but I think he deserves some attention because he's doing a phenomenal job at Cadillac. You don't see that because they are
down the back of the
yeah,
field.
Exactly. But today, if the car was staying in one piece, he would have left his teammate Valtteri Bottas.
Whoa.
He's struggling.
Checo is in demand.
I think there is, I know there is interest.
Yeah.
From some teams, yeah.
Some? More than one?
More than one, yeah.
Okay. Because he not only brings great driving skills, he brings a lot of money with his sponsors.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
And I told you before, I think he is, Cadillac would love to keep him. Mm-hmm. But I think it's going to be very hard to keep him because if he can make a promotion to a better team, like a bit further up the grid, of course he would consider.
And I don't think Colton Herta is at a stage that he could take over a seat, not fast enough.
No, he's not fast
I think
enough.
Was he last in the F2 race today?
I missed that. But
at some point he was second, and then I saw him down the bottom of the field, so I don't think he had a great race.
I didn't see that race. I saw the Formula One race.
Felix Rosenqvist had a good race today. He won the Indy 500.
Well, now you know stuff about Indy?
Well, I know a little bit. I know a few of the drivers. Marcus Armstrong did well. Paddock finished 4th.
I have no clue.
Okay, well...
Are we here for Formula 1, Kim?
Okay. Scrub that. Let's go back to F1. What else did you see today?
Esteban Ocon was struggling again.
Yeah. He didn't look too happy when he came out of the FIA garage.
Yeah, but he's fighting with a Cadillac at the moment.
That's right.
And they are terribly bad. So that's not good. He will finish the season at Haas. Yeah, he will finish the season at Haas. That I think.
They won't switch mid-year?
Well, there's a lot of rumors, but I think he will end the season at Haas. But he won't be in Haas next year.
No, I wouldn't have thought so.
Surely not.
And look, there is a slim chance that neither will Ollie Behrman.
But where's he going to go then?
He might go to Ferrari if Lewis throws the towel and has enough.
So this is very interesting, because this week on Thursday he said, I'm going to stay for a lot more years. People are writing me out of the sport.
Right,
but
well, that won't make Ollie very happy.
I'll be around for a lot more years. And also today, when he was, what he always does when he's on the podium, he's thanking the crowd and the audience.
Yep.
He can't wait to be back next year. And he says it very explicitly.
What, back at this track or back in Formula 1?
Back at this track, to see all the fans again next year. He says it very explicitly all the time.
Does he say that at every race? So
he's
he
not
plays
on the podium
to the crowd?
every race, but he says it right now, and
Okay.
it was just crossing my mind. Like, he's not up for quitting at the moment.
And he's obviously...
And if he's on the podium, why would Ferrari get rid of him?
He came
Maybe
in
instead of Charles.
He came in on his motorbike on at least one day. I think it was
cool,
one day, yeah. And you might have seen the pictures, but he walked in his full black suit, looking magnificent, with his helmet on, straight through the media throng.
Yeah.
It's quite a statement.
It is cool how he does it, look. Huh?
Yeah, and he was one of many who drove their vehicles right down to the swipe gates, because you might have seen something I did earlier in the week about the driver's car park. Well, it's about 250 metres, maybe 200-metre walk. And the first day, there was no planning, and cars were just triple parked in there. And if you were the first car in, you had to get 3 other drivers to move theirs to get out. But they sorted that out. But now, or not now, I think Saturday was the first day, they were allowing drivers or their entourage to drive them right down to the swipe gates so they didn't have to walk that 200 metres.
Yeah, they're a bit spoiled, aren't they?
It's very funny. And it's not like they'd get mobbed, because the public were on a separate section, a little walkway.
But they did a good job, I think, with the walkway. How they do it now? Like,
it looks good.
It reminds me a little bit of the Melbourne Walk. We see that at more venues nowadays.
Yeah.
It's a fun thing, and that's also the reason why the car is coming in front, because the drivers don't want to pass by all those people to give signatures and everything.
But it was nowhere near the numbers you'd have in Melbourne or in Austria.
No.
It does look a bit funny, because these guys are peak athletes, and they're running like Alex Albon ran 10Ks the other morning on Wednesday when I saw him run past me. 10Ks. That's a fair run.
That's a fair run.
Yeah, but they're not walking 200 metres.
Yeah, but they're not up for
I know
all
it's
the,
not
all
a
the selfies.
I
and
know
everything.
it's not a fitness thing,
Yeah,
but in the morning there's hardly anyone there.
Yeah, I know. Well, I noticed that there's one driver who is quite popular with a certain people. That's Franco Colapinto.
Oh my gosh!
Wherever we go in the paddock, there's always paddock club people. Normally they shout like "Hey Charles" or "Hey Lewis," and with Colapinto there's "Ole, ole, ole, ole."
And they allowed that there was somebody today. Were you telling me that they were shouting at the TV crew?
Yeah, and now you're right. In Spanish, yeah.
Well, actually, Franco came out of the garage, and I realised that he finished 6th at that point, so I'm expecting a good buzz. And he walks out, and first of all, I think he sees his PR... No, his manager first.
Yeah, maybe.
Jamie. It was Jamie.
Yeah.
And then it was his PR man, Sam, I think his name is. And then I could see his girlfriend, Maya, was there.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, right, and as a photographer, I've got to work out now whose face, because if they hug, I'm only going to get one of their faces, so I've got to work out who I want, so I've got to get in the right position. They hugged, and it was a nice shot, and then he gave her a kiss, and that was a nice shot. And then he was a little bit emotional after that, talking to the 3 or 4 of them. And it was a pretty big day for him.
There's so about the drivers and their girlfriends. Franco brought her for the first time in Miami, I think.
Yeah.
Yuki.
Today.
We saw Yuki today with his new girlfriend.
I got the heads up.
Yeah.
And I got her name. And she's a TV presenter, half Australian, Australian Japanese is her heritage. And
it's funny, you don't know anything about racing, but you know all these guys.
Yeah, but people tell me all this stuff, and I do a bit of research. And as he walked in, I took the photos and I stopped and said, "Oh, hi, Yuki." And he said, "Hi." I said, "I've forgotten her name now. Kanya, is it?"
Listen, this is your territory, mate.
Yeah. Anyway, I said hello to her, and as she walked past, she would have thought, "The first time here, how does he know my name?" But it was a good picture. Not great, but only had one chance.
Yeah. Well, I saw Isaac was having his girlfriend over here. Isaac Hadjar.
Did you see her T-shirt on Thursday or Friday?
With what was it? Isaac
Hadjar. No, it said
Hadjar.
Hadjar.
Yeah. I saw a T-shirt. Yeah.
On this picture, you can only see a little bit of the shirt, and I didn't realise until I was editing later that it probably said Hadjar, and I confirmed it, but unfortunately later she walked past me too quickly. But she's a fun girl. Yeah. She's really, I think, enjoying her time swanning around in the paddock, although this is not typically glamorous paddock. Today it was bitterly cold, so you probably were happy sitting inside the hospitality suite. Yeah. Now I did notice today that at the Aston Martin team principal car park they had a Mike Crack label
on the Sunday.
Yeah, he got one day, and one day we had
Jonathan Wheatley,
and then we had 2 days with no one on there.
Yeah. That was funny.
I think the circuit organizer apologised. It was just a mistake, and these things happen.
The promoter,
yeah, and an odd mistake.
Yeah, but a funny one. It did well for your numbers on the socials.
Yeah, it's funny what works. That sort of stuff has appeal.
Yeah. So I want to talk about your money shot of this weekend. What was it?
I was thinking about that. I quite like the start picture from the sprint race. Yeah. Because it was up. Well, here's the picture, right? We're in the back of the grandstand. And just to give you a background, we don't have tickets. So we're allowed in the stand, but there has to be an empty seat. Like it's a sprint race. You think a lot of people are going to be there. And you want to be right up the very back row, and you don't want to block anyone's view. So I go up, and about 12 minutes before the start of the race, I can see 2 seats, and there's 5 over there. So I got 2 options. So I take my place here, and you just hope that nobody comes up and says, "Oh, you're on my seat." Yeah. Because then you're going to be buggered. As it turned out, they didn't come up, and I think it was a nice picture. You can see the city in the background. And it's not a picture I would typically go and do, because you've then got to get back down into the moat, and that takes some time and a bit of mucking about, and you lose shots during the race.
Yeah. But that was a nice one. Anything else?
Well, I think the Franco kissing his girlfriend is one.
That was a cool one.
Yeah, my audience wants to see emotion.
Yeah.
Or a car upside down, or in flames, or sparking, or whatever.
Yeah, we didn't have that.
No.
Luckily.
But the emotion is what I look for in the paddock. It's drivers really happy, really sad.
Yeah. Oh, we had some happy drivers. Max Verstappen was happy. He was happy that he was on the podium.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't tell from my photos when I shot him down in the
he was happy. I mean, at least this is something he signed up for on Saturday, because on Saturday he wasn't happy at all. We spoke to him after qualifying, and I asked him, like, last week you were on the Nordschleife, you were racing, because he was complaining about the car, that it was jumping around all the time. I said, but if you compare this with what you were doing last week on the Nordschleife, that's probably one of the most uncomfortable tracks in the world. He said, but it's still 2,000 times more comfortable than driving this jumping car. 2,000 times, he said.
Right.
Driving a $10 million car.
And he's not the only one unhappy with their car. Fernando's seat today.
Christ, yeah.
What was the story with that?
Yeah, I don't know the exact story, but when we were leaving the track, we had our Spanish colleague, Jesus, in the back of the car. And I asked him, like, Jesus, what are the odds that Fernando is here next year? Because at some point you think he's fed up with it. And he said, I think 90%. 90% chance that he's still here.
Well, I love this photo here of him just
I think this picture
high-fiving.
says it all.
Yeah, so I'll go through the motions, but I'm really not that happy.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
you got to hats off to him. He's sticking it out. He's had some pretty ordinary races and years in the last few years. I think, when was the last time I saw him on the podium? Was it Miami? I know I got pictures of him jumping in Miami.
24?
Yeah, maybe. No, it might have been.
20,
Anyway,
yeah, I think so. 23, 24.
he's
Yeah.
good. He's good for the sport, and
He's good for the sport, yes, but at some point,
What would he do in a Mercedes?
I think he would be fighting with either Kimi or George.
Yeah, but would he be that much above them, or would
No,
he
not,
be?
not anymore, I would say.
Okay, so it's reaction time because of
Yeah.
age.
Maybe some weekends, but he said this before in Zandvoort. It was during the 24 edition of Zandvoort. I think that was the last time he was on the podium, no? He said,
Was it?
I can do this from time to time, but not all the time. And that's
Yeah.
the difference with Max Verstappen, for instance, he said back then. Because you're always, Max Verstappen is always on the top of his game.
Yep.
Yeah, and you have that with younger drivers. When you are 40 plus years old, like also with Lewis Hamilton, you're not 100% anymore
Yeah.
every weekend.
What about the 3 false starts?
Yeah, that was a little. It started off
Harvard.
bad.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but that was because of Limburger as well. Yeah.
I know. His car just didn't start.
But that must be upsetting when you are, he was in a good
Spot on the grid.
Well, he was in Q3 on Saturday, so yeah, it must be very disappointing for him because he's doing a good job there at Racing Bulls.
Yeah. And I think the team must be pretty happy. They've got 2
Yeah.
drivers that are doing okay.
Yeah, Liam found back his rhythm
Yeah.
after everything that happened last year. But yeah, Lindblad is their new star boy.
Somebody sent me a quote today saying that in New Zealand, watching the telecast, we got nothing about him after the race. Ted didn't talk about him. The commentators said nothing. And I did happen to see him being interviewed on, I think it was F1 TV. But yeah, New Zealanders not happy that they didn't get to hear anything about his efforts today, finishing 7th.
That's strange.
Yeah,
What about Bottas? We were mentioning
bloke.
Checo. Huh?
great bloke.
I know you like him.
Yeah.
And he is a great bloke, but is he still? He's not here anymore next year, is he?
Who are they going to put in there?
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
If you say that Checo's interested in moving somewhere else and Valtteri's not up to scratch,
Yeah, but he's not quick enough.
you got 2, and Herta's not looking too good.
No.
You're going to have brand new roster of drivers. And
But
interestingly,
there's a lot of drivers that are willing to pay an awful lot of money for a seat.
yeah,
Yeah, I would
Names?
say so. Well, I think Yuki, for instance, Yuki Tsunoda.
saw his manager today wearing a very nice Bottega Veneta.
He's very.
Yuki's
well
got him
dressed.
switched on now to clothing. He's pushed him. This is Diego, lovely fella.
Well, Yuki also. He's so fashionable all the time.
Yeah.
But they are trying everything they can to get him back into his seat. Everything they can.
Well,
And
I
I
wish
think
him
there's
luck.
a lot of money. Yeah, me too. I would love to see Yuki back on the grid. But we saw Jack Doohan this weekend.
He's
He was
racing
reserve
at Le
driver
Mans.
Haas. Yeah,
Racing at Le Mans.
yeah.
That's exciting. 3 drivers, so effectively, if you share it equally, 8 hours
Yeah,
behind
and
the wheel.
His management is trying to get him back in Formula One, so they have quite a few options, I would say, Cadillac next year. There's a few super talented drivers in Formula 2 at the moment, with the Brazilian guy Camara. He's in the Ferrari program, so he might be an option for us.
Going back to Cadillac, I was having a chat with one of the mechanics today, and he said that their work starts the moment, well, before the race finishes, they start packing up. But once they get the car back, they don't have to strip it completely.
Yeah.
And they won't leave the track until 2 a.m. So,
So there won't be any going out for them then, because
No.
clubs here in Montreal close at 3.
well, they've got 8 hours to pack up that car.
8 hours.
Yeah, from 6 p.m., when that race, roughly 6 p.m., to 2 a.m.
After the race, there's always chaos in the paddock, eh?
Yes, people going everywhere.
Packing up and
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know how there's not accidents. There's big stuff being moved, and even more so out on pit lane. And I didn't stay for the celebration tonight, but Kimi Antonelli's celebration was
Yeah.
in pit lane.
Yeah, yeah, I saw that because well, it wasn't pit lane. It was in the
Sorry, in the paddock. Yeah,
in the paddock.
in front of
because
hospitality.
pit lane was all
Yeah,
ramped up.
yeah. I didn't stay for that because I had to come back here to prep for this.
And talking about the drivers not willing to do any selfies on this walk. You did.
Yeah, I did a few.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always nice.
Yeah, you love it. You love all the attention. I can tell.
You can talk. You got recognised at a nightclub.
Yeah, man. He is watching right now, so we have to thank him for that. This was actually the first time that I got recognized, and there was a bunch of people with us, and I was so happy that they were all there to, witness all that. It was a wholesome moment.
Right.
Recognized in Montreal as a Dutchie.
The first time I got recognised overseas was in the airport in Tirana. Do you know where Tirana is?
Yeah.
Yeah, by some British people on holidays, and it
Formula
throws
1
you.
fans, I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see the stories about potentially Gucci stepping in as a sponsor of Alpine?
I've done a bit on that already.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
hear some stories that it's actually going to happen.
Well, I messaged James from Alpine, one of their PR people, and said, what am I going to say about this? And I just got this standard, we talk to a lot of businesses about sponsorships and we only ever say anything if it's confirmed. So it was a stock standard response. And I said, very eloquent. He said, it's just the standard form. I said, I know that.
But it's quite bold, I would say, if Gucci's going to step in, because Formula 1 is completely branded by Louis Vuitton.
It's a good way to sort of disrupt.
Yeah, I would say so.
But of course, you're only sponsoring one team,
Yeah,
whereas
but
LVMH
you
goes
will get
across
a lot of exposure as a brand like Gucci when you are
on the car.
Yeah.
Part of the Kering group, and also they have, I think, Balenciaga.
Yep.
And some others.
Yep.
Look, it's a funny thing. I don't think you would have had luxury goods. Did we have luxury goods on cars 30 years ago?
No,
you had
it was
cigarettes, alcohol, no gambling sites.
No gambling sites. Now we have AI stuff.
Oh yeah, and
we had vapes for a little while. That's gone already.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I don't like all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't think we should be advertising betting. So if anyone wants to sponsor our podcast and your betting company, I don't know.
I'll take it.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
Right. Well, you can draw the line down here.
That's fine. I would love to see Gucci stepping into Formula 1. I like the fact that all these high-end brands are coming to Formula 1. I love that.
But you will get a lot of people saying, we don't want that, we want the grassroots. And I understand that you've got a gamut of people who follow this sport. And those people that want to keep it pure don't want to see social media stuff. There's a whole lot of stuff that angers people, certain people.
Yeah.
But you can't please everybody.
Whatever we do, we always anger people.
That's right.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
And look, sometimes I'll do a video where I'll say something and I don't even think that it's a worry, and then the office will go, oh, Kim, you've upset all these people, and there's all these comments. Yeah, well, it's just entertainment. That's all this is. And with that, we need to say go, because see that light, that's going to stop in a second, so we've got to do the outro. Let's do the outro quick.
Okay, well, we thank you for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe.
And remember, if it happens in the paddock, you'll hear it here first.